My brother, tell me your memories of this story.
Oh,
I'm wondering if you remember the situation exactly as I do, because you're the one who introduced me to it originally.
no, I don't actually remember much of it at all. I remember listening to it through Creeps McPasta, because we were really, really big on him back in the day. This was 2015, give or take, maybe?
2014, I think.
2014 or 15. I was washing dishes. I'd found, when I was washing dishes at the cafe, that Game Grumps was not the option due to a couple
naturally
incidents with the
smelly
language.
vegan cafe.
Yeah, so I ended up having to pivot. Hold on, my mic stand is falling down. Okay, fixed. I ended up having to pivot and settled on creepypastas, and Penpal was the first one that I really connected with, which is hilarious because I don't remember anything about it. It's been 10 years. It's been over 10 years since I listened to it. I only listened to it one time. I remember sharing.
Really?
I do remember sharing it with you. What's interesting about it though is I remember quite a few of Creep, because like we've talked about it recently. Like Creeps McPasta just shits out whatever. We'll read whatever. It does not matter, which is fine.
A lot of terrible stories.
It's chill. It's fine. And there's
it's
a lot
old school creepypasta.
There's a lot of
pasta culture.
Yeah, and there's a lot of underground stuff that he ends up reading that is really really cool. Even if it's not that great, but yeah, it was. This was the first one I connected with. Don't remember much about it. I'm really excited to reread it, and I'm kind of hoping maybe my memories will unlock as time goes on, like as we read it, and it'll become fresh in my mind.
Yeah. I won't get too into it because I'll bring it up in the other video I'm working on. But I just remember our grandpa just died. Sad. And we were cleaning out his somewhat hoarder basement when you first started listening to the creepypastas and you told me about it. I think the Russian sleep experiment was the first one that really stood out.
Yeah,
which is hilarious looking back on it because that story is rough.
Yeah, that timeline is really. I don't remember Russian sleep experiment either at all. To the point where like I thought I hadn't listened to it, so I'm glad that your memory is much more. I don't know why I don't remember that period well.
It's so why so serious Dark Knight-esque Joker, but at the time it was so cutting edge.
Yeah,
but I just remember after a while you told me about Penpal and you're like, this one's different, and it was. And I've returned to it every couple of years, and every single time I get something new out of it.
That's awesome. Maybe we should do multiple readings of it or something similar.
Yeah, maybe case. Come
like
back to it now
every couple of years, or do maybe I guess you are working on a retrospective of it, right? So
yeah, I'm kind of deep diving, so there might not be much more new to get after that. But I'm catching some new things this time.
Cool. All right. Let's dive in. I'm ready.
All right. Do you want to take the first narration?
I'm thirsty for some Penpal. I just want a Penpal. You want me to start?
Yeah, go for it. I'll take the narrator's quotes, and you just do the narration.
All right.
We'll start that way.
All right, so we'll start with the first part. It's called Footsteps. This was written by Reddit user 1000 Vultures, and it was posted on r/Nosleep. Do you know what the date of the original posting was?
It was September 2011. Also, the author's real name is Dathan Auerbach, and he has some great other works out there.
Because he became he became pretty popular from this. I can see here it says the stories have garnered a considerable fan base since their original postings, and they are now adapted into a full-length novel.
Yes, which I still want to get my hands on, because I think there's some added in the novel.
That's what I was gonna say. Which it seems that there are parts that may have been rewritten or expanded upon. But it says what follows though are the original postings of Reddit. So I'm reading it off the Creepypasta Wiki. He's reading it off of Reddit, and
we'll see if there are any differences.
Here we go. Part 1: Footsteps. This is long, so I apologize for that. I've never had to tell this story with enough detail to actually explain it all the way, but it is true, and it happened when I was about 6 years old. In a quiet room, if you press your ear against a pillow, you can hear your heartbeat. As a kid, the muffled, rhythmic beats sounded like soft footsteps on a carpeted floor. So as a kid, almost every night, just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I would hear these footsteps and I would be ripped back into consciousness, terrified.
What? I don't want to interrupt so early on, but what a good hook.
Yeah, right?
So evocative, and like everybody's had that experience as a child.
Yeah, right? I was just thinking about that recently, actually, because I've had tinnitus really bad. I don't know if it's like my medication or anything, but you can just like really, when it's like really quiet, you can just hear everything that's going on inside. Anyway, for my entire childhood, I lived with my mother in a fairly nice neighborhood that was in a transitional phase. People of lower economic means were gradually moving in, and my mother and I were two of these people. We lived in the kind of house you would see being transported in two pieces on the interstate. But my mom took good care of it. There were a lot of woods surrounding the neighborhood that I would play in and explore during the day, but at night, as things often do as a kid, they took on a more sinister feeling. This coupled with the fact that, due to the nature of our house, there was a fairly large crawl space underneath, filled my mind with imaginary monsters and inescapable scenarios which would consume my thoughts when I was awoken by the footsteps. I told my mom about the footsteps, and she said that I was just imagining things. I persisted enough that she blasted my ears with water from a turkey baster once just to placate me, since I thought that would help. Of course it didn't. Despite all the creepiness and footsteps, the only weird thing that ever happened was that every now and then, I would wake up on the bottom bunk despite having gone to sleep on the top. But this wasn't really weird, since sometimes I'd get up to piss or something to drink, and could remember just going back to sleep on the bottom bunk. I'm an only child, so it didn't matter. This would happen once or twice a week, but waking up on the bottom bunk wasn't too terrifying. But one night, I didn't wake up on the bottom bunk. I had heard the footsteps, but was too far gone to be woken up by them. And when I was awoken, it wasn't the sound of footsteps or a nightmare. But because I was cold. Really cold. When I opened my eyes, I saw stars. I was in the woods. I sat up immediately and tried to figure out what was going on. I thought I was dreaming, but that didn't seem right, though neither did me being in the woods. There was a deflated pool float right in front of me, one of those ones shaped like a shark. This only added to the surreal feeling, but after a while, it seemed like I just wasn't going to wake up because I wasn't asleep. This is feeling like very liminal to me, with the pool shark and stuff. That's fascinating. That's super cool.
I was wondering where did you imagine this taking place? Because when I first heard it, I imagined it was in the UK because it was a creepypasta reading.
I didn't,
but that's really, not right.
Yeah, no, I don't know if the location's given away at any point, but I kind of just it was very Midwest in my head. Like all of the houses, I do remember like visually all the houses were white, very Hilliard like, with like chain link fences, and then like the forest and the woods. So it was kind of like urban neighborhood with like a forest or woods like close by, or like right on the doorstep of a more like suburban neighborhood type situation, you know?
Yeah.
But like the aesthetic was very like mid 2000s for me. So
when I returned to it, I got that Midwest vibe as well, but I realized that's kind of just because that was my childhood experience.
Right.
And what all of these feelings evoke childhood. It's very southern Florida once you get into it, and that makes sense because that was the author's childhood.
Interesting. It's cool. Yeah. It's a lot of room to sort of project that in there. I stood up to orient myself, but I didn't recognize these woods. I played in the woods by my house all the time, so I knew them really well. But if these weren't the same woods, then how could I get out? I took a step and felt a shooting pain in my foot, which knocked me back to where I'd been laying. I had stepped on a thorn. By the light of the moon, I could see that they were everywhere. I looked at my other foot, but it was fine. And as a matter of fact, so was the rest of me. I didn't have another scratch on me, and I wasn't even that dirty. I cried for a little bit and then stood back up. How old is he at this point?
6.
6, okay. I didn't know. That's terrifying. I didn't know which way to go.
Most of the story takes place 5 to 6, and then it jumps to when he's 15 in the next to last part.
Gotcha, okay. I didn't know which way to go, so I just picked a direction. I I resisted the urge to call out since I wasn't sure I wanted to be found by who or what might be out there. I walked for what seemed like hours. I tried to walk in a straight line and tried to course correct when I had to take detours. But I was a kid and I was afraid. There weren't any howls or screams, and only once did I hear any noise that scared me. It sounded like a crying baby. I think now that was just a cat, but I panicked. I ran veering in different directions to avoid big thickets of bushes and collapsed trees, and I was paying close attention to where I stepped because by that point my feet were in pretty bad shape. I paid too much attention to where I was stepping, and not enough to where those steps were leading, because not long after hearing the cry, I saw something that filled me with a kind of despair I haven't experienced since. It was the pool float. I was only 10 feet from where I'd woken up. Oof. This wasn't magic or some supernatural space bending. I was lost. Up until that moment, I thought more about getting out of the woods than how I got in. But being back at the beginning caused my mind to swim. I wasn't even sure these were my woods. I had only been hoping that they were. Had I run in a huge circle around that spot, or did I just get turned around and start making my way back? How was I going to get out? At the time, I thought the North Star was just the brightest star, and so I looked and found the brightest one and followed it. Eventually, things started to look more familiar, and when I saw the ditch, a dirt ditch my friends and I would have dirt clod wars in, I knew I'd made it out.
That's really lucky. Like, he just went north and managed to pick the right direction.
Yeah. Eventually, things started to look more familiar, and when I saw the ditch, a dirt ditch my friends and I would have dirt clod wars in, I knew I had made it out. By that point, I was walking really slowly because my feet hurt so much, but I was so happy to be so close to home that I broke into a light jog. Yeah, me too. I would too. I'm feeling like secondhand victory from this. Oh man, to get out of that situation, especially as a 6-year-old.
It really gets the heart pumping.
Yeah, it does.
Such relatable feelings just taken to an extreme.
Yeah, just having those moments like in the store where you turn around and you realize that everyone that you can see you don't know, and you don't know where mom went.
Yeah, that's like stomach drop feeling that is pure childhood fear.
Yeah, and you start running. I know. It's so interesting because, you know, I think as an adult, I've experienced maybe 10 billion feelings worse than that, but to go back into that moment when there's like no, you know, day to day, there's no problems and it's mostly just carefree, and then that happens, it's like world ending. So this conveys that really well. When I actually saw the roof of my house over a neighboring lower set house, I let out a light sob and ran faster. I just wanted to be home. I had already decided that I wouldn't say anything because I had no idea what I could possibly say. I would get back in the house somehow, clean up, and get in bed. My heart sunk as I rounded the corner and my house came fully into view. Every light in the house was on. I knew my mom was up, and I knew I would have to explain, or try to explain, where I had been. And I couldn't even figure out where to start. My run became a jog, which became a walk. I saw her silhouette through the blinds, and although I was worried about how to explain things to her, that didn't matter to me at that point. I walked up the couple of steps to the porch and put my hand on the doorknob and turned. Right before I pushed it open, 2 arms wrapped around me and pulled me back. I screamed as loud as I could.
Mom, help me, please, Mom!
The feeling of being so close to being safe and then being physically pulled away from it filled me with a kind of dread that is, even after all these years, indescribable. The door I had been torn away from opened, and a flash of hope shot through my heart, but it wasn't my mom. It was a man, and he was enormous. I thrashed around and kicked. Yeah, big fat brick shithouse. I thrashed around and kicked at the shins of the person holding me while also trying to get away from the person who had just come out of my house. I was scared, but I was furious.
Let me go! Where is she? Where's my mom? What did you do to her?
Oof. As my throat stung from screaming and I was drawing in another breath, I became aware of a sound that had been present for longer than I had perceived it. Honey, please calm down. I've got you. It sounded like my mom. The arms loosened and set me down. And as a man approaching me blocked out the porch lights with his head, I noticed his clothes. He was a cop. I turned to face the voice behind me and saw that it was really my mom. Everything was okay. I began to cry, and the three of us went inside. I'm so glad you're home, sweetie. I was worried I'd never see you again. By that point, she was crying too.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I just wanted to come home. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just don't ever do that again. I'm not sure me or my shins could take it. I'm an old coot. I'm an old coot now. A little laughter broke out through my sobs, and I smiled a bit.
Well, I'm sorry for kicking you, but why'd you have to grab me like that?
Can you give it a little bit of a Southern Florida twang?
For a child? I don't know how. I feel like they just make him sound old. Well, I'm sorry for kicking you, but why'd you have to grab me like that?
Mama. I was just afraid that you'd run away again. I was confused.
What do you mean?
We found your note on your pillow, she said, and pointed at the piece of paper that the police officer was sliding across the table. I picked up the note and read it. It was a running away letter. It said that I was unhappy and never wanted to see her or any of my friends again. The police officer exchanged a few words with my mom on the porch while I stared at the letter. I didn't remember writing a letter. I didn't remember anything about any of this. But even if I sometimes went to the bathroom at night and didn't remember, or even if I could have gone into the woods on my own, even if that could have been true, the only thing I knew at this point was, this isn't how you spell my name. I didn't write this letter. Ooh. Hold on. Okay. All right. So unpack. So he ended up...
Yeah, how are you feeling?
Get this on the check mark. I do remember this vaguely. Ding. Right there.
Yes. Good job.
I do remember him being grabbed. I do remember him getting lost in the woods and finding his way back, and it being his mom. But I don't remember the letter. I don't remember the letter, and that's not him.
Man.
That's not him that wrote that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the mom didn't pick up on that either. Although I'm sure she was probably so panicked at that point that like it didn't matter. She assumed that her son was just
he's 6
spelling
years old.
his name wrong. Yeah, exactly. Also, I do want to say this is a very intelligent 6-year-old.
Yeah, that is one slight pitfall I think of this story is 6 years old starts to become a little bit unbelievable as it goes.
Right.
And it feels more like a 9-10-year-old at least.
Yeah. This is kind of where my brain is going with imagining, and I think back then as well. I don't think that I don't think that it's very fitting. I mean, I'm sure there are 6-year-olds with that level of development out there, but
I mean, I think it makes sense for this part, but I know he also wrote this part without a plan for the future parts yet.
Yeah.
And so I think he was a little bit in a corner with the age.
Interesting.
He was really into the role playing as this is a true story thing.
Right. Has the author been very public about just kind of like taking a basic concept and just like writing it as he went along?
Yeah, there was an interview where he talked about this is the first thing he ever wrote. He wrote this part, and then he's like, I'll write a follow-up. And he wrote the next part, and then he's like, oh, people like this. I'll write another follow-up. And he gets 4 parts in before he has a full plan of where it's even going.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy for how good the writing is and how well it connects.
Yeah.
But you can also kind of see it develop, like there's more dialogue and more in-depth as it goes. And he gets some confidence.
I get some confidence. I got some confidence just reading that. It gave me that
confidence.
It gave me that cold dunk of water on my head. Woke me right up. Woke me straight up.
The ending is so good.
Yeah. All right. On to part 2.
Balloons.
All right, here we go.
This one, I believe, was 3 days later.
3 days later. All right, here we go.
Jumping in. A couple of days ago, I posted a story called Footsteps here on /Nosleep. There were a number of questions that made me curious about certain details about my childhood, and so I spoke with my mother. Exacerbated by my questions, she said,
why don't you just tell them about the goddamn balloons if they're so interested?
Can you take that again, but with a little more spite? I feel like she's angry.
Why don't you just tell them about the goddamn balloons if they're so interested?
That's a lot of spite, but we'll take it.
That's 100%. You want me to take it down to like 60, 50?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, all right.
As soon as she said that, I remembered so much about my childhood that I'd forgotten. The story will provide some greater context for the previous story, which I think you should read first. Though the order isn't of vital importance, reading that story first will put you in my place more effectively, since I remembered the events of Footsteps first. If you have questions or anything, feel free to ask and I'll try to answer them. Also, both stories are long, so heads up on that. I'm just hesitant to leave out any details that might be important. So that is the thing. We have a chronological order of the modern author remembering these events, but the events he's remembering are not in chronological order. So this takes place before Footsteps.
Okay, so this is... Oh, yeah. I see it.
When I was 5 years old, I went to an elementary school that, from what I've come to understand, was really adamant about the importance of learning through activity. It was part of a new program designed to allow children to rise at their own pace, and to facilitate this, the school encouraged teachers to come up with really inventive lessons plans. Each teacher was given the latitude to create his or her own themes, which would run for the duration of the grade, and all the lessons in math, reading, etc., would be designed in the spirit of the theme. These themes were called groups. There was a space group, a sea group, an earth group, and the group I was in, community. I've always read that and been like, that's the fucking Captain Planet thing where you got like water, earth, fire, really cool, and the last one's like love and friendship.
Yeah.
Like, kids gotta be so pissed.
Community. We love space. We love sea, earth.
But what 5-year-old gives a fuck about community?
Yeah, literally. I'd be like, put me in the fucking space group. I do not care.
Make a dinosaur group.
I do not care, dude. What kind of moves do I need to pull as a 5-year-old to get into space group?
There are ways.
Do I need to convince? What do I need to do to bribe the teacher to put me in space group?
You got an Adderall script. You can do a lot of things at 5 years old.
At 5 years old, I don't know if I would be taking Adderall, but
this is America. That's
true.
In kindergarten in this country, you don't learn much except how to tie your shoes and how to share, so most of it isn't very memorable. I only remember 2 things very clearly. I was the best at writing my name the right way, and the balloon project.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah. This is very immediately clarifying that, yes, this 6-year-old knows exactly how his name is spelled.
And the balloon project, which is really the hallmark of the community group, since it was a pretty clever way to show how a community functioned at a really basic level. You've probably heard of this activity. On one Friday, I remember it being Friday because I was excited about the project and it being the end of the week. Toward the beginning of the year, we walked into the classroom in the morning and saw that there was a fully inflated balloon tied off with string taped to each of our desks. Sitting on each of our desks was a marker, a pen, a piece of paper, and an envelope. The project was to write a note on the paper, put it in the envelope, and attach it to the balloon, which we could draw a picture on if we wanted. Most of the kids started fighting over the balloons because they wanted different colors, but I started on my note, which I had thought a lot about. All the notes had to follow a loose structure, but we were allowed to be creative within those boundaries. My note went something like this. Hi, you found my balloon. My name is name, and I attend blank elementary school. You can keep this balloon, but I hope you write me back. I like Mighty Max, exploring, building forts, swimming, and friends. What do you like? Write me back soon. Here's $1 for the mail. And on the dollar I wrote, 4 stamps! Right across the front, which my mom said was unnecessary, but I thought it was genius, so I did it.
I think it's genius.
I think I'm showing my youthfulness, but what the fuck is Mighty Max?
Mighty Max, if it's real.
Let's get a picture of Mighty Max up on the screen.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Mighty Max is an American animated action horror television series created by Mark Zaslove and Rob Hudnut, based on the British Mighty Max toys, an outgrowth of the Polly Pocket line created by Bluebird Toys in '92. So that is dating this. I was curious, but I didn't want to ask a bunch of questions because I kind of had a feeling that the story would date itself eventually. So these look like I don't know if you're looking. I'm going to save a couple images for the video.
All I see is a character called Skullmaster played by Tim Curry, which makes me want to watch this show.
Let me just send this to you over Discord real quick, because this is very I feel like
What you
maybe
got, what
this
you
is one
got?
of those things where it's like very intentional. Maybe it's very body horror-esque. I don't know. I don't know if it's connected
look
in any
like-
way, but like,
Happy Meal toys, but evil.
yeah, or like some really fucking crazy Imaginext castle like add-ons or something.
Oh,
like,
man.
So that's like the line of the main ones.
The teacher took a Polaroid of each of us with our balloons and had us put them in the envelope along with our letter. Why? They also included another letter that I assume explained the nature of the project and sincere appreciation for anyone's participation in writing back and sending photos of their city or neighborhood. That was the whole idea, to build a sense of community without having to leave the school and establish safe contact with other people. It seemed like such a fun idea.
Okay, so
Like you're sending a picture of a child and telling them what school they go to.
yeah, this was the early '90s, so I mean,
It's so
obviously,
fucked up.
obviously, people were a lot less paranoid back then. But
Yeah, we're from a post-stranger danger world.
right. I do have to say that I feel incredibly uncomfortable based off of the context of the last chapter. Kind of like you kind of instantly know like where this is going to start.
Yeah, is this coming back to you at all?
No, not at all.
Really?
No, it's I like very very vaguely, not enough for me to be like, oh, I remember this, but like enough for me to be like, I kind of remember something about balloons. I kind of remember something about like, obviously the story's called Penpal, so this is kind of where that starts. But I'm like, this is where like it immediately becomes like borderline abduction / like fixation, pedophile, something, whatever. I don't know, but
Yeah, but it also still feels like a monster at the same time.
right.
It's like
Right.
the pen pal.
Yeah, so I'm like this is a very vulnerable situation that he's being put into, and it's also like weirdly the way that it's presented is kind of like creepily ritualistic in a way, since it's under like the different groups, community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So very cool.
Over the next couple of weeks, the letters started to roll in. Most came with pictures of different landmarks, and each time a letter would come in, the teacher would pin the picture on a big wall map. We'd put... There's so many P's, I'm stumbling. Each time a letter would come in, the teacher would pin the picture on a big wall map we had put up showing where the letter had come from and how far the balloon had traveled. It was a really smart idea because we actually looked forward to coming to school and to see if we had gotten our letter. For the duration of the year, we had 1 day a week where we could write back to our pen pal or another student's pen pal in case our letter hadn't come in yet. Mine was one of the last to arrive. When I came into the classroom, I looked at my desk and once again didn't see any letters waiting for me. But as I sat down, the teacher approached me and handed me an envelope. I must have looked so excited, because as I was about to open it, she put her hand on mine to stop me and said, "Please don't be upset." I didn't understand what she meant. Why would I be upset now that my letter had come? Initially, I was mystified that she would even know what was in the envelope, but now I realized that of course the teacher had screened the contents to make sure there was nothing obscene. But all the same, how could I be disappointed? When I opened the envelope, I understood. There was no letter. The only thing in the envelope was a Polaroid, but I couldn't really make out what it was. It looked like a patch of desert, but it was too blurry to decipher. It appeared as if the camera had been moved while the picture was being taken. There was no return address, so I couldn't even write back if I wanted to. I was crushed. The school year pressed on, and the letters had stopped coming from nearly all of the other students. After all, you can only continue a written correspondence with a kindergartner for so long. Everyone, including myself, had lost interest in the letters almost completely. Then I got another envelope. My excitement was rejuvenated, and I reveled in the fact that I was still getting a letter when most of the other pen pals had abandoned their involvement. It made sense that I received another delivery. There had been nothing but a blurry picture in the first one, so this was probably to make up for that. But again, there was no letter at all, just another picture. This one was more distinguishable, but I still didn't understand it. The photograph was angled way up, catching the top corner of a building, and the rest of the image was distorted by a lens flare from the sun. Because the balloons didn't travel very far, and because they were all launched on the same day, the board became a bit cluttered, so the policy for students still exchanging letters became that they could take the photographs home. My best friend Josh had the second highest number of pictures taken home by the end of the year. His pen pal was really cooperative and sent him pictures from all around the neighboring city. Josh took home, I think, 4 pictures. I took home nearly 50. Ooh, it gives me chills. The envelopes were all opened by the teacher, but after a while I stopped even looking at the pictures. However, I saved them in one of my drawers that housed my collection of rocks, baseball cards, comic book cards, Marvel metal cards for those who might remember. I think I still have Dad's collection of those somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those.
And a little miniature baseball batting helmets that I'd get out of vending machines at Winn-Dixie after T-ball games. That gives away the South.
Yeah, yeah.
With the school year over, my attention turned to other things. My mom had gotten me a small snow cone machine for Christmas that year, and Josh had really coveted it. So much so that his parents bought him a slightly nicer one for his birthday, which was toward the end of the school year. Fucking rich kids. That summer, we had the idea that we'd set up a snow cone stand to make money. We thought we'd make a fortune selling snow cones at $1. Josh lived in a different neighborhood, but we eventually decided that my neighborhood would be better because there were a lot of people who cared for their lawns. The yards of my neighborhood were slightly bigger. We did this for 5 weekends in a row, until my mom told us that we had to stop, and I've only recently come to understand why she did that. On the 5th weekend, Josh and I were counting our money. Because we both had a machine, we each had a separate stack of money that we put together into one stack, and we then split it evenly. We made a total of $16 that day, and as Josh paid out my 5th dollar, a feeling of profound surprise consumed me. The dollar said, "For stamps!"
Oof.
Josh noticed my shock and asked if he had miscounted. I told him about the dollar and he said, "Take it."
Oh, that's so cool, man.
As I thought about it, I came to agree. The idea that the dollar had made it right back to me after changing so many hands floored me. That's the thing, the tension of a child that just can't understand what's happening but is in horrible danger.
It's making me nauseous. I've got some notes that I wrote down, but we can wait until after the part to unpack. Oh.
I rushed inside to tell my mom, but my excitement coupled with her being distracted by a phone call made my story incomprehensible, and she responded simply by saying,
"Oh wow, honey, that's neat. Yeah."
Frustrated, I ran back outside and told Josh I had something to show him. Back in my room, I opened the drawer and took out the stack of envelopes and showed him some of the pictures. I started with the first picture, and we went through about 10 before Josh lost interest and asked if I wanted to go play in the ditch. A dirt ditch down the street from my house.
And that's the same one from before that
yeah,
he
dude,
found?
It's the ditch.
Yeah, the ditch. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Before his mom came to pick him up, so that's what we did.
Yeah.
We had a dirt war for a while, but I was interrupted several times by rustling in the woods around us. Ugh. There were raccoons and stray cats that lived in there, but this was making a little too much noise, and we traded guesses at what it was in an attempt to scare each other. My last guess was that it was a mummy, but in the end, Josh kept insisting that it was a robot because of the sounds that we heard. Before we left, he got a little serious and looked me right in the eyes and said,
"Oh, shit. You heard it too, didn't you? It sounded like a robot. You heard it too, right? I'd heard it, and since it sounded mechanical..." Oh, sorry, that was you.
I had heard it, and since it sounded mechanical, I agreed that it was probably a robot. It's only now that I understand what we heard.
Camera!
He keeps dropping that, "It's only now that I understand."
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't... Honestly, his writing is so fucking good that he doesn't even need to add that. Like, it's only now we understand what we heard.
It's so simple, but I don't mean that in, like, a derogatory way, because its simplicity is what makes the story so good. When we got back, Josh's mom was waiting for him at the kitchen table with my mom. Josh told his mom about the robot, and our moms laughed, and Josh went home. My mom and I ate dinner, and then I went to bed. I didn't stay in bed for long before I crept out and decided that, due to the day's events, I'd revisit the envelopes, since now the whole affair seemed much more interesting. I took the first envelope and set it on the floor, and set the blurry desert Polaroid on top. I laid the second envelope right next to it, and placed the oddly angled Polaroid of the building's top corner on top, and did this with each picture until they formed a grid that was about 5 by 10. I was always taught to be careful with things that I was collecting, even if I wasn't sure they were valuable. I noticed that the pictures gradually became more decipherable. There was a tree with some birds on it, a speed limit sign, power line, a group of people walking into some building, and then I saw something that vexed me so powerfully that I can now, as I write this, distinctly remember feeling dizzy and capable of only a single repeating thought. Why am I in this picture? In this photograph of the group of people entering the building, I saw myself holding hands with my mother in the very back of the crowd of people. We were at the very edge of the photo, but it was undeniably us. And as my eyes swam over the sea of Polaroids, I became increasingly anxious. It was a really odd feeling. It wasn't fear. It was the feeling that you get when you're in trouble. I'm not sure why I was flooded with that feeling, but there I sat floundering in the distinct sense that I had done something wrong. And this feeling only intensified as I looked on at the rest of the photos. After that, the one that had so powerfully struck me. I was in every photo. How you feeling?
I'm fucking gripping the edge of my seat and white knuckling my knees right now.
Coming back now?
Yeah, vaguely. It's still a very new experience for me. I can't explain why.
None of them were close shots. None of them were only of me, but I was in every single one of them. Off to the side, in the back, bottom of the frame. Some of them only had the tiniest part of my face captured at the very edge of the photo. But nevertheless, I was there. I was always there. I didn't know what to do. Your mind works in funny ways as a kid, but there was a large part of me that was afraid of getting in trouble simply for still being up. Since I already had the looming feeling of having done something wrong, I decided that I would wait until tomorrow.
Wait until tomorrow for what?
To tell his mom.
Oh, okay.
Because he's afraid of being in trouble.
Yeah.
But man,
yeah.
Can you remember that feeling of something going wrong and feeling like you're going to get in trouble even though it makes no sense?
Yeah. There's an era of like his child brain is trying to process a very universal and uncomfortable invasion of privacy without fully understanding
something is
it.
Wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he doesn't really fully understand the scope of exactly what's going on, but it's still triggering his amygdala because it is a very natural sort of cat and mouse situation that he's in, very clearly. But he's never experienced that, and he's only 5, you know?
Just a little guy. The next day, my mom was off work and spent most of the morning cleaning up around the house. I watched cartoons, I imagine, and waited until I thought it was a good time to show her the Polaroids. When she went out to get the mail, I grabbed a couple of the pictures and put them on the table in front of me as I sat waiting for her to come back in. When returned, she was already opening the mail and threw some junk mail into the trash can, and I said, "Mom, can you come here for a second? I have these pictures."
Just give me a minute, honey. I need to talk to Mark. I need to mark these on the calendar.
Hold on, I gotta talk to Mark real quick.
I gotta talk to Mark and mark him on the calendar.
Ooh. After a minute or two, she came back and stood behind me and asked me what I needed. I could hear her shuffling with the mail behind me, but I just looked at the Polaroids and told her about them. As I explained more and pointed to the pictures, her frequent uh-huhs and okays decreased, and she was suddenly completely quiet, and only making a little noise with the mail. The next noise I heard from her sounded as if she was trying to catch her breath in a room that had no air left in it. At last, her struggling gasps were conquered, and she simply dropped the remaining mail onto the table and ran to the kitchen to get the phone. "Mom, I'm sorry! I didn't know about these. Don't be mad at me." With the phone pressed to her ear, she was walking and running back and forth and shouting into it. I nervously fiddled with the mail sitting next to my Polaroids. The top envelope had something sticking out of it that I thoughtlessly and anxiously pulled on until it came out. It was another Polaroid. Confused, I thought that somehow one of my Polaroids had slipped into the stack when she threw the mail down, but when I turned it over and looked at it, I realized that I had not seen this one before. To my dismay, it was me, but this one was a much closer shot. I was surrounded by trees and was smiling. But it wasn't just me, I noticed. Josh was there too. This was us from yesterday. I started yelling for my mom, who was still screaming into the phone. I repeatedly yelled for her until she finally responded with,
"What?"
And I could only think to ask, "Who are you calling?"
"I'm talking with the police, honey."
But why? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do anything." She answered me with a response that I never understood until I was forced to revisit these events from the earliest years of my life. She grabbed the envelope off the table, and the picture of Josh, and I spun and slid, landing next to the other Polaroids in front of me. She held the envelope up to my eyes, but I could only look at her and watch as all the color began draining out of her face. With tears welling up in her eyes, she said that she had to call the police because there was no postmark. Oh!
Oof. Wait, hold on. What is a postmark?
Stamp.
Oh, there was no stamp. Oh, right.
And there was no writing on it. It was a blank envelope.
It hadn't been mailed. Okay.
So what I've come to the conclusion, putting together the whole timeline, is that day they were playing in the ditch when they heard the robot was the day the Penpal found him, took a picture of him, and followed him home for the first time.
Right.
And now he knew where he lived, and hand-delivered that the next day.
Right. Because before it had been getting delivered to the school.
Right.
Okay, so a few things that I wrote down here. Balloons don't travel far. So immediately, whoever this is that received the balloon is like within the state, right? So like,
I think within the same city.
Yeah, definitely, more than likely, I would say. I mean, I don't know how far on average balloons travel. Regular balloons, helium balloons. Pop both those up on the screen right there. The average distance. But you know immediately, like it's kind of a dangerous game you're playing when you're inviting someone who's local to the address of the school. But then also the progression of the part was very interesting because like in the beginning, I was kind of getting the vibe of like the rules of possession, you know?
Tell me more about that.
Just kind of how everything starts off very gently, right? Where you can kind of tell like, oh, that's creepy, or like oftentimes the viewer or the reader can see the signs before anyone else can, right? Like for example, the moment that the balloon was sent back, it's kind of like doing a Ouija board or like throwing that connection out there, or like that bid for connection out there with something dangerous. The moment it comes back and you accept it, it's like that's the connection made. But like the teachers weren't screening it; they weren't looking at the photos because the photo had him in it. You know what I mean? And so like
they were, but I think they gave up eventually because the teacher's lazy.
Yeah, right. So what I mean more so is like that's sort of like the early stages of possession where you like the people involved can't see the signs, but like we very very clearly can, right? And then like this chapter was interesting because like it slowly crawled out of being a slow burn into like he had 50 photos. This sort of like obsession over him is like getting so crazy to the point where like it's almost like the like supernatural force, and I'm using like supernatural as like a metaphor or an analogy, right?
Right. It's not just like a normal creep. There's something really strange happening there.
Right. And what's cool is like in this chapter you can see like he overstepped, right? So like there was really no plan. It was kind of like this like obsession grew to the point where like even the 5-year-old can pick up that something's wrong, and then now the mom is involved. So it's kind of like the obsession became so visceral and like intense that like the mom like it's kind of like whatever like plan there might have been as like crumbled, if there even was one. You know what I mean?
And there's something to be said about the like socioeconomic status being very specific there of like they can't just move away. They can barely afford to be in the neighborhood they're living in as it is.
Exactly.
And so even the mom is so powerless. And you can see that he's 5 years old there, and even through footsteps, that's the same house.
Right.
And then we'll get to the point where he finally moves in this next part, but it goes on for well over a year past that, where this pen pal knows where the author lives.
Right.
And they can do nothing about it.
Right. And eventually there is actual written connection made, if I'm remembering correctly. But I don't remember.
Sort of.
I don't remember very well. So we're gonna jump into part 3, and then I think that'll mark us at the halfway point.
Yes.
And we can
as far as parts, the last 3 parts are longer though.
Okay. All right.
So you take narration or breakdown of characters. You're the mom and you're Josh.
I'm the mom and
author
Josh.
so far. The author is a child.
Josh. Here we go. This is part 3, boxes.
I believe also 3 days later from Balloons.
Oh, okay. If you haven't read Footsteps or Balloons, please do so before reading below so you'll understand. So if you happen to hop into the middle of this video, please click back to the beginning.
Also, how and why?
You never know, man. Some people be skipping.
Some fucking freaks. We don't want them.
We definitely should separate the video into the parts so people can easily find their way around. For those of you who have read my other stories and asked if there was more and received cryptic answers from me, I want to apologize for being dishonest. I said several times in the comments that nothing really happened after Footsteps, but that wasn't true. The events of the following story weren't locked away in the recesses of my mind. I've always remembered them. It wasn't until I remembered Balloons and spoke with my mother about the following events that I realized how intertwined this story was with everything else, but I originally hadn't planned on sharing this anyway. My desire to withhold this memory was due mostly to the fact that I don't think I showed good judgment in it. I also wanted consent from another person to tell it, so as to not misrepresent what transpired. I didn't expect there to be a lot of interest in my other stories, so I never thought I'd really get pressed for more details, and I would have been happy to keep this to myself for the rest of my life. I haven't been able to reach the other party, but I would feel disingenuous withholding this story from those who wanted more information now that I've spoken with my mother and another connecting line has been drawn. What follows is as accurate as a recollection of my... Alright, let's try that again. What follows is as accurate a recollection as I could manage. I apologize for the length. Okay, here we go. Part 3, lengthy. I spent the summer before my first year of elementary school learning how to climb trees. There was one particular pine tree right outside my house that seemed almost designed for me. So first year of elementary school, summer before first year of elementary school would put him in kindergarten, right?
Yes. So this is
5. Summer of 5 years old.
Between Balloons, yeah. Between Balloons and Footsteps.
Yes. Okay.
I believe.
That sounds about right.
It'd be 6 at
So this
time.
is after the photos. This is after the photos, after the police were called, correct?
Yes.
It had branches that were so low I could easily grab them without a boost. And for the first couple days after I'd learned how to pull myself up, I would just sit on the lowest branch, dangling my feet. The tree was outside our back fence and was easily visible from the kitchen window, which was just above the sink. Before too long, my mother and I developed a routine where I would go play on the tree when she washed the dishes because she could easily see me while she did other things. So she's keeping a tight eye on him because of everything that's happened. As the summer passed, honestly, if it were my kid, girl, I wouldn't even let him outside by himself. I would
Chain
have
him
that
up
kid
in the basement.
Yeah, I would have that kid on a leash at all times the moment that we set foot outside. As the summer passed, my abilities grew, and before too long, I was climbing fairly high. As the tree got taller, its branches not only got thinner, but more widely spaced. I eventually reached a point where I couldn't actually climb any higher, and so the game had to change. I began to concentrate on speed, and in the end, I could reach my highest branch in 25 seconds. I got too confident, and one afternoon I tried to step from a branch before I had firmly grasped the next one. I fell about 20 feet and broke my arm really badly in 2 places. My mom was running toward me yelling, and I remember her sounding like she was underwater. I don't remember what she said, but I do remember being surprised by just how white my bone was. Oof.
Oof.
Yikes.
I'm glad I've never broken a bone like that.
Yeah, me too. I could say I've had some pretty rough encounters with fractures, but nothing like that.
Yeah, I've just got the tailbone that sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And then I broke both of my arms skateboarding.
We have similar stories there.
Yeah.
Mine was going snowboarding the second time I ever went snowboarding down an icy hill I was not ready for, and I immediately fell on my ass and shattered my tailbone.
Oh, dude, I hated going snowboarding with you guys. That was the least fun I think I've ever had in my life. It was the most frustrating. It was so frustrating. I remember thinking it's so fun in concept, and then I tried it and I was like, this fucking sucks. I'm not doing this. And then I went and I got a snow cone and I sat down by myself.
It is not
until mom and dad came to pick us up. Yeah, this shit sucks. To anyone who likes snowboarding.
Tell me about the time you broke both of your arms skateboarding, though.
Yeah, so my high school actually has a policy where they don't allow skateboarding anymore. They were like really cool with it up until
because of you.
Me. Yeah, no, it was entirely because of me. I learned that a couple years down the line. We were seniors, and they would let us take walks because like we would have limited classes and stuff, you know.
Yeah, hoodlums.
So we were all walking around the neighborhood like with the teachers. This was like a supervised event. And me, Angus, a couple others were skating, and we all went down this hill that like spiraled around, so you couldn't see what was coming around the corner because it was like a continuous curve. And then it got so steep that at a certain point, Angus bailed. The other one that I won't name his name. He bailed, and then. I was like, why are we bailing? Because they were ahead of me, and I kept going, and then I saw the guardrail at the very end of the hill, and I was like, oh, that's why they were bailing. So I was like, I should get off. So I hopped off, but it was going so fast that I was like running, but I was like, you know, like in Spirited Away when she's running down the staircase really fast and she can't stop. It was like that, but I eventually lost my balance and I went flying forward, and both of my elbows went straight down onto the curve, and I like flipped over, and I got up, I grabbed my board, my arms were still moving at that point, and then I was walking up and I was like fine, and then like as the minutes went on, I could feel my arms stiffening up to the point where like I couldn't move them anymore, and they were like stuck at 90-degree angles, which we eventually learned was fluid filling up in the area, and it was like swelling.
Oh,
and
man. I remember you coming home with two slings.
I needed Dad to come pick me up, but I couldn't pick up the phone to call him at the front desk. So the lady had to hold the phone up and call his number. And then we had there's this kid named, you could bleep that out.
Give an alias.
We'll call him
Phillip.
We'll call him Spider-Man Skateboarder. Because he gained a reputation out of high school for skating all downtown in a Spider-Man onesie, like with the mask up and stuff.
I think he still does.
Yeah, he was a character. He he had a cupcake and was walking by me, and I was sitting waiting for Dad with the longboard on my like placed on my lap, and I couldn't move my arms. And he stopped and like walked past me. And then he looked at me, and he like backed up a couple steps and came back and was like, "Hey, you want this?" He like pointed to the cupcake, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I've had a hell of a day. I can't hold it though. Just feed it to me." So he fed me a cupcake, and we were having a good laugh. We were having a good laugh about it, but.
That's that positive masculinity right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's always nice when you're broke and feed you from his hand, like a horse. All right. Anyway, just to show you, I relate to this author quite a lot.
Just as an aside, the poor judgment. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the video. I was going to start kindergarten with a cast and wouldn't even have any friends to sign it. My mom must have felt terrible because the day I started school, she brought home a kitten. He was just a baby and was striped with a tan and white. As soon as she put him down, he crawled into an empty case of soda that was sitting on the floor. I named him Boxes. Boxes was only an outside cat when he escaped. My mom had him declawed so he wouldn't destroy the furniture, so as a result, we did our best to keep him inside. It was the 90s, that was still socially acceptable. He'd get out every now and then, and we'd find him somewhere in the backyard chasing some kind of bug or lizard, though he could hardly ever catch one because he had no front claws. He was pretty evasive, but we'd always catch him and carry him back inside. He'd scramble to look back over my shoulder. I told my mom that it was because he was planning a strategy for next time. Once inside, we'd give him some tuna fish, and he came to learn what the sound of the can opener might signal. He'd come running whenever he heard it. The conditioning came in handy later because towards the end of our time in that house, Boxes would get out much more often and would run under the house into the crawl space where neither of us wanted to follow because it was cramped and probably crawling with bugs and rodents. Something's starting to come back to me about the crawl space.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling so good about mentions of a crawl space. The last time I personally was witnessing something about a crawl space, it was in Breaking Bad, and that was probably the highest cortisol release I'd had in a while from that moment. So,
I mean, to be fair, any
good.
horror story that brings up a crawl space, it's not gonna be good.
That's true. Ingeniously, my mom thought to hook the can opener to an extension cord out back and run it right outside the hole that Boxes had gone through. Wow, that's some dedication. Eventually, he would emerge and his loud meows, looking excited by the sound, and then horrified at how we could run such a cruel ruse on him. A can opener with no tuna made no sense to Boxes. The last time he escaped to under the house was actually our last day in it. My mom had put the house on the market, and we had begun packing our things. So she was pretty much like, we're moving.
Yes.
We didn't have much, and we stretched all that. So that's why he's saying he didn't have any friends to sign it.
At this point, this is now after Footsteps.
Okay, yeah.
So we've jumped ahead in time at this point.
That makes sense. We didn't have much, and we stretched the packing out a while, though I'd already packed up all my clothes at my mom's request. My mom could tell I was really sad about moving and wanted the transition to be smooth for me, and I guess she thought that having my clothes in the box would reinforce the idea that we were moving, but things wouldn't change that much. When Boxes got out, as we were loading some things into the moving van, my mom cursed because she had already packed the can opener and wasn't sure where it was. I pretended to go look for it so I wouldn't have to go under the house, and my mom, probably completely aware of my little scam, moved one of the panels and crawled in. She came out with Boxes pretty quickly and seemed pretty unnerved, which made me feel even better about getting out of it. Okay. I'm feeling not so good. My mom made some phone calls while I packed a little more, and then she came into my room and told me that she had spoken to the realtor and we were going to start moving into the other house that day. What the fuck did she say? She said it was like she said it like it was excellent news, but I thought we had more time in the house. She originally said that we weren't moving until the end of next week, and it was only Tuesday. What's more, we weren't completely finished packing, but my mom said sometimes it was just easier to replace things than pack them and haul them all over the city. I didn't even get to grab the rest of my boxed clothes. I asked if I could call Josh to say bye, but she said that we could just call him from our new house. We left in the moving van. So whatever the fuck she saw, she was like, nope, we are going.
Don't grab your things, we're out of here.
And honestly, like, good moves, but also, like, she must be a fucking saint at maintaining her composure, because all he was able to pick up on was she was unnerved for some reason. I don't really know why, but she said, we're just going to move today. So he's, like, clueless.
I mean, the mom character doesn't get it all right in the story. but she's so great because she can't, and she's genuinely just doing the best she can, and it's not enough. That's what
Yeah. I managed to stay in touch with Josh for years, which is surprising since we no longer went to the same school. Our parents weren't close friends, but they knew that we were, and so they would accommodate our desire to see each other by driving us back and forth for sleepovers, sometimes every weekend. For Christmas one year, our parents even pulled their money and got us some really nice walkie-talkies that were advertised to work across a range that extended past the distance between our houses. They also had battery... Okay, hold on. So, I'm like, are they in the same neighborhood still?
No, they're across town from each other.
Oh, okay.
So he moved to another part of the city. The Penpal no longer knows where he lives.
So these are like long-distance walkie-talkies, like practically cell phones.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
He's about to say they usually wouldn't work across the city.
Oh, gotcha. They also had batteries that could last for days if the walkie-talkie was on but not used. They would only occasionally work well enough that we could talk across the city, but when we stayed over, we'd use them around the house, talking in mock radio speak that we had taken from movies. And they worked great for that. Thanks to our parents, we were still friends when we were 10. Okay, so big skip forward.
So 4 years after Footsteps.
Yeah. One weekend, I was staying over at Josh's, and my mom called me to say goodnight. She was still pretty watchful, even when she couldn't actually watch me, but I'd gotten so used to it that I didn't even notice it, even if Josh did. She sounded upset. Boxes was missing. This must have been a Saturday night, because I'd spent the night at Josh's the previous night and was going... Oh, Lord. Boxes is going to get out and show the Penpal where they live. That's
Maybe.
I can feel it.
I'll never tell.
This must have been a Saturday night because I'd spent the night at Josh's the previous night and was going to go home the next day because we had school on Monday. Boxes had been missing since Friday afternoon. I gathered that she had not seen him since returning home after dropping me off. She must have decided to tell me he was missing because if he didn't come home before I did, then I would be devastated at not only his absence, but how she could have kept it from me. She told me not to worry. He'll come back. He always does. But Boxes didn't come back. 3 weekends later, I stayed at Josh's again. I was still upset about Boxes, but my mom told me that there had been many times when pets had disappeared from home for weeks or even months, only to return on their own. She said they always knew where home was and would always try to get back. I was explaining this to Josh when a thought hit me so hard that I interrupted my own sentence to say it out loud.
What if Boxes thought of the wrong home?
Josh was confused. What? He lives with you. He knows where his home is.
But he grew up somewhere else, Josh. He was raised in my old house a couple neighborhoods away. Maybe he still thinks of that place as home, like I do.
Oh, I get it. Well, that'd be great. We'll tell my dad tomorrow and he'll take us over there so we can look.
No, he won't, man. My mom said that we couldn't ever go back to that place because the new owners wouldn't want to be bothered. She said she told your mom and dad the same thing.
Josh persisted. Okay, then, we'll just go out exploring tomorrow and make our way to your old house.
No! If we get spotted, your dad will find out, and then so will my mom. We have to go ourselves. We have to go there tonight.
Okay, alright. Smart thinking, kid. It didn't take that much convincing to get Josh on board, since he was usually the one to come up with ideas like this.
But we'd never firecracker that Josh.
Yeah, right. Josh is gonna get this kid killed. Absolutely terrible idea. It didn't take much convincing to get Josh on board since he was usually the one to come up with ideas like this, but we'd never snuck out of his house before. It actually turned out to be incredibly easy. The window in his room opened to the backyard, and he had latched a wooden fence that wasn't locked. After those 2 minor hurdles, we slipped off into the night, flashlight and walkie-talkies in hand. There were 2 ways to get from Josh's house to my old house. We could walk on the street and make all the turns or go through the woods, which would take about half the time. It would have taken about 2 hours to walk there, taking the street, but I suggested that we go that way anyway. I told him it was because I didn't want to get lost. Josh refused and said that if we were seen, they might recognize him and tell his dad. He threatened to go home if we didn't just take the shortcut, and I accepted because I didn't want to go by myself. Josh didn't know about the last time I walked through these woods at night. So we're called back to part 1. So he didn't want to go because that was just a really traumatizing experience for him.
Yeah, I'd imagine. pretty resilient, this kid, though.
Was he picked up? Was he picked up and taken out while he slept? Is that what's
the implication?
Implied?
Yes.
With the note.
The
and
only
everything?
unclear thing is if the footsteps were ever real. They might have been.
Right.
That might have been the pen pal in his house, which is just horrifying.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh yeah.
Because he knew where he lived at that point.
Oh.
We'll get to it. We'll get to the other implication of this part.
So, why would he have just left him there? Is what I want to know. Like what is
the end goal?
Yeah, I really want to know because like so far it just seems like a very intense obsession that's not like directed. It's not. I don't know. I'm just curious to know where the direction's going. Anyway.
I believe we get a hint in this, but I'll be curious if it makes it come back to you.
The woods were much less creepy with a friend and a flashlight, and we were making pretty good time. I wasn't entirely sure where we were, but Josh seemed confident enough, and that bolstered my morale. We passed through a particularly thick patch of tangled trees when the strap of my walkie-talkie got caught on a branch. Josh had the flashlight, and so I was struggling to get the walkie free when I heard Josh say, "Hey man, wanna go for a swim?" I looked over to where he was shining the flashlight.
Goes good for the
I know, right?
voice.
I was thinking that too.
Hey, man.
I looked over to where he was shining the flashlight, though I closed my eyes as I did because I now knew where we were. He was pointing at the pool float. This was where I had woken up in these woods all those years ago. I felt a lump in my throat and the sting of fresh tears in my eyes as I continued to struggle with the walkie. Frustrated, I yanked on it hard enough to break it free, and I turned and walked to Josh, who had partially laid down on the pool float in a mock sunbathing pose. As I walked towards him, I stumbled and nearly fell into a fairly large hole that was sitting in the middle of this small clearing. But I regained my balance and stopped right at its edge. It was deep. I was surprised by the size of the hole, but more surprised by the fact that I didn't remember it. Okay, now I get it. I get it. I'm assuming that was a hole that was dug for him, right?
All right, the next line.
I realized it must not have been there that night because I was in the same spot where I had awoken. It was in the same spot where I had awoken. I put it on my mind and turned to Josh. So yeah, it's okay. So murder is the end goal here.
No. Quit messing around, man. You saw I was stuck over there and you were just laying here joking around on this float.
I punctuated the sentence with a kick to an exposed part of the float. A screeching rose from it. Josh's smile inverted. He suddenly looked terrified and was struggling to get off the float, but he couldn't in a quick manner due to the awkward way he'd been laying on it. Each time he would fall back on the float and the screeching would intensify. Oh, noise! I wanted to help Josh, but I couldn't move myself any closer. My legs wouldn't cooperate. I hated these woods. I picked up the flashlight that he had thrown in his thrashing and shined in on the float, not knowing what to expect. Finally, Josh got off the float and rushed next to me, looking at where I was shining the light. Suddenly, there it was. It was a rat. I started laughing nervously, and we both watched the rat run into the woods, taking the screeches with it. Josh lightly punched me in the arm, the smile slowly returning to his face, and we continued walking. We quickened our pace and made it out of the woods faster than we thought we would, and we found ourselves back in my old neighborhood. The last time I had rounded the bend ahead, I had seen my house fully illuminated, and all the memories of what transpired came flooding back. I felt a skipping in my heart as we were finally turning the corner and about to face the full view of my house, remembering last time how incandescent it was, but this time all the lights were off. From a distance, I could see my old climbing tree, and as my mind traced the steps of causality backwards, I realized that I wouldn't be back here this night if that tree hadn't grown, and I was briefly in awe of how all events were like that. As we got closer, I could see that the lawn looked terrible. I couldn't even guess when it had last been mowed. Okay, so the place didn't sell. They just moved, and I'll bet Mr. Penpal has been living there the whole time.
Maybe.
There's only one part that is coming back to me from all this. The rest of it, I don't remember, but I do remember what's coming up.
Which part?
The boot.
Without giving it away.
The boot.
The boot?
Yeah. One of the shutters had partially broken loose and was rocking back and forth in the breeze, and over all the house just looked dirty. I was sad to see my old home in such a state of disrepair. Why would my mom care if we bothered the new owners if they cared so little about where they lived? And then I realized there were no new owners. The house was abandoned, though it looked simply forsaken. Why would my mom lie to me about our house having new people in it? But I thought this was actually a good thing. It would be easier to look around for boxes if we didn't have to worry about being spotted by the new family. This would make it much quicker. Josh interrupted my thoughts as we walked through the gate and up the house itself. Your old house sucks, dude, Josh yelled as quietly as he could.
Shut up, Josh. Even like this, it's still nicer than your house.
Hey, man.
Okay, I think boxes is probably under the house. One of us has to go under and look, but the other should stay next to the opening in case he comes running out.
Are you serious? There's no way I'm going under there. It's your cat, man. You do it.
Look, I'll game you for it, unless you're too scared.
I said, holding my fist over my upturned palm.
Fine. But we go on shoot, not on 3. It's rock, paper, scissors, shoot, not 1, 2, 3.
I know how to play the game, Josh. You're the one who always messes up. And it's 2 out of 3.
I lost. That's so good. That's so good. It's just the voice, like the narration going from like child voice to like adult voice. So good. The contrast is
yeah.
very good.
It's like the innocence of childhood and then ripped away.
Yeah.
Constantly in every single part.
Yeah. I wiggled loose the panel that my mom would always move when she had to crawl under here for boxes. She only had to do it a couple of times since the can opener trick usually worked, but when she had to do it, she hated it, especially that last time. And as I looked into the darkness of the crawl space, I had a greater appreciation for why. Before we moved, she said that it was actually better that boxes ran under here, despite how hard it could be to get him out. It was less dangerous than him jumping over the fence and running around the neighborhood. All that was true, but I was still dreading doing this. I grabbed the flashlight and the walkie and began to crawl in. A powerful smell overtook me. It smelled like death. Oof! I turned on my walkie.
Josh, are you there?
This is Macho Man. Come back.
Josh, cut it out. There's something wrong down here.
What do you mean?
It stinks. It smells like something died.
Is it boxes?
I really hope not.
I set down the walkie and moved the flashlight around as I crawled forward. Looking through the hole from the outside, you could see all the way back with the right lighting. But you had to see inside to see around the support blocks that held the house up. I fucking hate this. I'd say that there was about 40% of the area that you couldn't see unless you were actually in the crawl space. But even inside, I discovered that I could only see directly where the flashlight was pointing. I realized
Doesn't it take you back to being under the porch at our old house? And
yeah, it does. It does. It really does. Wow, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's crazy.
We went under there to crawl after like a stray cat at some point.
I don't remember. I always remember not liking being under there, even though it was like cool. It was like kind of that.
It was terrifying.
It was kind of like a dare. It was like always kind of gross under there.
Like, imagine doing it at night too, alone in an abandoned house.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's abandoned. I'm just gonna say this right now. I realized that this would make scouting around the place much more difficult. As I moved forward, the smell intensified. The fear was growing in me that boxes had come here and something had happened to him. I shined the flashlight around, but couldn't see much of anything. I wrapped my fingers around a support block to pull myself forward, and as I did that, I felt something that made my hand recoil. Oh, fur. My heart sank, and I prepared myself emotionally for what I was about to see. I crawled slowly so I could prolong what I knew was coming, and I inched my eyes in the flashlight past the block to see what was on the other side. I staggered back in horror.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
That's more like,
oh, Jesus Christ!
That still makes us sound too old.
Jesus
Christ!
escaped my trembling mouth. It was a hideous and twisted creature, badly decomposed. Its skin had rotted away on its face, so the teeth appeared to be enormous, and the smell was unbearable.
What is it? Are you okay? Is it boxes?
I reached for the walkie.
No, it's not boxes.
Well, what the hell is it then?
I don't know.
I shined the light on it again and looked at it with less fear in my vision. I chuckled.
It's a raccoon!
Well, keep looking. I'm gonna go into the house to see if he might have made it in there somehow.
What? No, Josh, don't go in there. What if boxes is down here and runs out?
He can't. I put the board back.
Oh, fuck. I looked and saw that he was telling the truth.
Why'd you do that?
Don't worry, man. You can move it easy. This makes more sense. If boxes ran out and I missed him, then he'd be gone. If he's down there, then grab him tight and I'll come move the board. And if he's not, then you can move it yourself when I looked in the house.
Some of his points were good, and I doubted he'd be able to get in anyway.
Okay, but be careful and don't touch anything. There's a bunch of my old clothes still in boxes in my room. You can look in there to see if you crawled in one. And make sure you bring your walkie.
Roger that, good buddy.
I realized that it would be pitch black in there. The power would have been turned off since no one was paying the bill. With any luck, he'd be able to see from the streetlights that might cast some light inside. Otherwise, I'm not sure what he'd do. Before too long, I heard footsteps right over my head and felt old dirt raining down on me.
Josh, is that you?
Breaker, this is Macho Man, coming back from the Big Tango Foxtrot. The Eagle has landed. What's your 20, Princess Jasmine? Over.
Asshole.
Macho Man, my 20 is in your bathroom looking at your stash of magazines. Looks like you got a thing for dudes' butts. What's the report on that? Over.
I could hear him laughing without the walkie, and I started laughing too. I heard the footsteps fade away a little. He was on his way into my room.
Man, it's dark in here. Hey, are you sure you had boxes of clothes in here? I don't see any.
Yeah, there should be a couple boxes in front of the closet.
There aren't any boxes in here. Let me check to see if you maybe put the boxes in the closet before you left.
I started thinking that maybe my mom had come back and gotten the clothes and just given them away because I'd outgrown a lot of them. But I remembered leaving the boxes there. I didn't even have time to close the last one up before we left. While I was waiting for Josh to tell me what he found, I kicked out my leg, which had started falling asleep because of the position I was in, and it hit something. I looked back and saw something really strange. It was a blanket, and all around it, there were bowls. I crawled a little closer to it. The blanket smelled moldy, and most of the bowls were empty, but one had something I recognized still in it. Cat food. It was a different kind than we gave to boxes, but I suddenly understood. My mom had set up a little place for boxes to encourage them to come here instead of running around the neighborhood. That made a lot of sense. And it seemed even more likely that boxes would have come back to this place.
That's so cool, Mom.
I thought. I found your clothes.
Of course, she would buy a different brand of cat food to put in the underneath the porch for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I found your clothes.
We can do the radio sound in post.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where were the boxes?
Like I said, there are no boxes. Your clothes are in your closet. They're hanging up.
Ugh.
I felt a chill. This was impossible. I'd packed all my clothes, even though we weren't supposed to move for another 2 weeks when we left. I remember packing them and thinking that it was stupid for me to have to get clothes out of the box and put them back in. I'd packed them, but someone had hung them back up. Why, though? Josh needed to get out of there.
That can't be right, Josh. They're supposed to be in boxes. Stop messing around and just come back outside.
No joke, man. I'm looking at him. Maybe you just thought that you left him. Wow, you sure like to look at yourself, don't you?
What? What do you mean?
Ooh.
Your walls, man. Your walls are covered in Polaroids of yourself. There are hundreds of them. What, did you hire someone to...
Silence. I checked my walkie to see if I'd switched it off somehow. It was fine. I could hear footsteps, but couldn't tell exactly where Josh was going. I waited for Josh to finish his sentence, thinking that his finger just slipped off the button, but he didn't continue.
He seemed to be stomping around the house now. I was just about to radio him when he came back.
There's someone in the house.
His voice was hushed and broken. I could hear he was on the verge of tears. I wanted to respond, but how loud was his walkie turned up? What if the other person heard it? I said nothing, just waited and listened. What I heard was footsteps. Heavy, dragging footsteps. And then a loud thud.
Oh, God. Josh.
He'd been found. I was sure of it. This person had found him and was hurting him. I broke out in tears. He was my only friend, next to boxes. Then I realized, what if Josh told him I was under here? What could I possibly do? As I struggled to compose myself, I thankfully heard Josh's voice through the walkie.
He's got something, man. It's a big bag. He just threw it on the floor and... Oh, God, man, the bag. I think it just moved.
I was paralyzed. I wanted to run home. I wanted to save Josh. I wanted to go for help. I wanted so many things, but I just lay there frozen. As I lay unable to move, my eyes focused on the corner of the house that was right under my room. I moved my flashlight. My breath hitched at what I saw. Animals. Dozens of them. All of them dead. They lay in piles all around the perimeter of the crawl space. Could boxes be among these corpses? Was this what the cat food was for? Okay, so my theory was correct. He has been living in the house since they moved out.
Yes.
This individual is most likely male, I would assume. He's big. He's being referred to as he. He's killing animals. And he's got something, big bag. It's moving. So he's got something living. Potentially a person?
Could be a kid.
Could be a kid, yeah. But, I mean, we don't know. And we probably won't know, correct?
We do know. Later on.
Oh, all right. All right. Back to it. Seeing this broke my shock, as I knew I had to get out of there, and I scrambled to the board. I pushed on it, but it wouldn't budge. I couldn't move it because it was wedged in there, and I couldn't get my fingers around it since the edges were outside. I was trapped.
God damn you, Josh.
I whispered to myself. I could feel thunderous footsteps above me. The house was shaking. I heard Josh scream, and it was matched by another scream that wasn't full of fear. Ooh.
I love that line.
Yeah. As I continued pushing, I felt the board move, but I knew it wasn't me who was moving it. I could hear footsteps above me, and in front of me, and shouting and screaming, filling the brief silences between the footsteps. I moved back and held my walkie, ready to try to defend myself. The board was thrown to the side, and an arm shot in and grabbed me.
Let's go, man! Now!
It was Josh. Thank God. I scrambled out of the opening, holding the flashlight and the walkie. When we got to the fence, we both jumped it, but Josh's walkie fell. He reached for it, and I told him to forget it. We had to move. Behind us, I could hear yelling, though they weren't words, only sounds. And we, perhaps foolishly, ran for the woods to get back to Josh's quicker. It'd be somewhat harder to follow. The whole way through the woods, Josh kept yelling,
My picture! He took my picture!
But I knew the man already had Josh's picture from all those years ago at the ditch. I suppose Josh still thought those mechanical sounds were from a robot. Okay, so it's not just him. It's just a kid thing.
Well, he was in that same picture with Josh.
That's true.
But, yes, he did just take a picture of Josh in the house.
And that's fascinating because I'm really enjoying this kind of like we're getting what was in the last part kind of like detailing a very intense and unhealthy but like light and subtle obsession. I mean, it wasn't so much subtle, but I'm talking in terms of like you don't know what this anomaly is, what its intentions are. You just know that it's an obsession and that it's following, it's stalking. But in this, you're getting the...
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but with this part, you're getting the like, very clearly extremely dangerous, very clearly murderous, right? With all the animals in the corpses.
There's some kind of compulsive violence.
Right,
and like
exactly.
he took one picture of Josh, but he has hundreds of pictures of the author plastered all over the walls.
Right. We might have
crazy.
a case of light mental retardism with the lack of words being spoken.
I've kind of always thought, like, I always kind of imagine Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Never seen
Or
it.
I kind of picture him to look like the same way I pictured Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, where he's like really big and super pale, and he's kind of a recluse, and they always talk about him as if he's not right in the head.
Right. Yeah, because like I think that's conveyed primarily through the lines of like I was like Josh's scream, and then he was matched by another scream that wasn't full of fear, and then it also makes a point to say like the behind us I could hear yelling, though they weren't words, only sounds. So like this individual is like not trying to be stealthy, you know, like this individual is being kind of wild and insane to the brain. So it just strikes me as it strikes me as like a kind of like a Jason has some that like there's some real mental degradation there.
Yeah, he never speaks, I don't think.
Okay, yeah. Which is fascinating because it's called Penpal. It's like, all right. We made it back to Josh's house and back into his room before his parents woke up. I asked him about the big bag and if it really moved, and he said he couldn't be sure. He kept apologizing about dropping the walkie at the house, but obviously that wasn't a big deal. We didn't go to sleep and sat peering out the window waiting for him. I went home later that day, as it was about 3 a.m. already. So that's a red flag right there. Yeah, not great. I told my mom the basics of this story a couple days ago. She broke down and was furious about the danger I put myself in. I asked her why she made all those things up about bothering the new owners to stop me from going. Why did she think the house was so dangerous? She became irate and hysterical, but she answered my question. She grabbed my hand and squeezed it harder than I thought her capable of and locked her eyes to mine, whispering as if she was afraid of being overheard. Because I never put any fucking blankets or bowls under the house for boxes. You weren't the only one to find them. Okay, yeah, so I felt dizzy. I understood so much now. I understood why she had looked so uneasy after she brought boxes out from under the house on our last day there. She found more than spiders or a rat's nest that day. I understood why we left almost 2 weeks early. I understood why she tried to stop me from going back. She knew. She knew he made his home under ours, and she kept it from me. I left without saying another word and didn't finish the story for her, but I want to finish it here, for you. I got home from Josh's that day. I threw my stuff on the floor and it scattered everywhere. I didn't care. I just wanted to sleep. I woke up around 9 p.m. to the sound of boxes meowing. My heart leapt. He had finally come home. I was a little sick about the fact that if I had just waited a day, none of the previous night's events would have happened, and I'd have boxes anyway, but that didn't matter. He was back. I got off my bed and called for him, looking around to catch a glint of light off his eyes. The crying continued and I followed it. It was coming from under the bed. I laughed a little, thinking I had just crawled under a house looking for him and how this was so much better. His meows were being muffled by a shirt, so I flung it aside and smiled, yelling, "Welcome home, Boxes!" Oh, sorry, that's you.
Welcome home, Boxes!
His cries were coming from my walkie-talkie. Boxes never came home. That's so deflating. I got so excited for a second because I was like, at the very least, the cat can come home. But that's just, it's like, once again, like more innocence just being taken away. Like the moment that you get like a hint of like, oh, well, at least after everything, there's this. It's always something.
So a couple of things. That thing, the moving thing that the pen pal had in the back must have been Boxes.
Yeah, that makes sense now. That does make sense now.
My theory is that he was going to kill Boxes. Some way he killed all of those animals out of some kind of twisted, jealous rage for the idea of something else that might be friends with our author.
Oh, interesting.
Not confirmed, but I think there's evidence to support it.
That does make sense. Now I don't.
Especially in part 5.
Yeah, this might be a part that comes up, but I seem to remember him and Josh maybe hiding in bushes, like in a path in the dark, and like a boot, like stepping in between them and then moving on. Is that visual?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Man, what story was that then? That must not have been this.
It could be part of the last story, which I haven't gotten to the last part in what I'm writing. But I don't think so.
This is okay, so like I'm starting to wonder, and this is gonna be really funny if it turns out this way. I'm pretty sure that it's not the case, but we're halfway through, and I do remember that part pretty well. I'm wondering if I never finished the story.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't remember so much of this.
Oh my god,
this part is coming up to me
so hard.
I don't remember the ending at all. So
I thought you would remember the ending.
No, I don't remember the ending at all. So I'm starting to wonder. We'll see. We will see, because if I have listened to the ending before, then I definitely will remember it. But
holy shit, that's crazy! I'm so excited then.
Yeah. So
what we've learned is sometime after Balloons, when the Penpal learned where the author lived, he moved into the crawl space under the house.
Yeah.
And was living there. Probably during that time is when he would sneak into the house to take the author out during footsteps.
Right.
And then continue to live under there until the beginning of the story, when the mother went under there and saw the blankets and bowls and realized, fuck, there's a man living under here. And they abandoned the house.
Yeah, and she went, we're gonna leave right now.
Gnarly.
Yeah. I made an artist's rendition of the Penpal, of how I view him. So just
Can I see it?
Yeah. He's here. No, you can't.
You're gonna hold it up to the camera, I'll see it in the edit?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
He's got a camera. And he's also wearing the kids' clothes. They're very tight on him. I thought that would be a fun little addition, but
it doesn't. One thing this story does remind me of a little bit that is much sillier, but also scared the shit out of me as a kid. Do you remember in the Fred movie when he has dream sequence where he runs into the kid that got lost in the woods for all that time?
No, I don't remember.
And he's like a grown ass adult that's grown out. Okay, and he's still wearing his child clothes, and he's got like long hair.
I do kind of remember
that scared the shit out of me. It's like a freaking Fred movie.
It's really funny.
I would picture him in the dark at the middle of the night, and I would lose my shit and have trouble sleeping.
That is awesome. I think this is a good place to take a break and stop it for tonight.